Okay, I'm trying to make my film a little smoother. Normally it's so jerky when you handhold the camera. This is a fairly inexpensive camera. It's a Kodak Z1285, but it does high def pictures, but holding a camera shakes. You shake a lot. So I have it strapped to a quite heavy tripod now, which I'm holding, so that should take some of the jitter out of it. So maybe you don't have to use your Dramamine today to watch my videos. So here's the red Rome tree, which was almost girded all the way around this past winter, but it seems to be surviving so far. I'd almost given up on it. I don't know if we can see in there or not. If I can zoom in. The voles got in past the tree guard there, and they girded it quite substantially. You can barely see a little of the bark right above my finger there. So maybe it'll survive. Wolf River over there. That one in the corner in the shade is got everything going against it. It's on an Antonovka rootstock, which is full-size tree, which means it's going to grow slow, at least on this hill. And maybe I don't remember the tree variety. I'll put that in the video. But it's growing slow. It gets the most shade out here. You need lots of sunlight for apple trees. They say minimum 4.5 to 5 hours a day, and I say, yeah, that'll keep it alive. But the more sun, the better, because a tree has to be vigorously growing to be able to withstand insect and disease attacks. This tree started leaning last year. We might have had a strong wind that finally got to it. So I'm going to have to stake this thing up and straighten it up. Then we have, I believe this might be a Honeycrisp. I tagged them all. Honeycrisp, yep. And I put wire fencing. This wire, 2x4 wire. It's self-standing, especially once a little bit of grass grows up and roots it in. And the deer then leave these trees alone. That fencing is 5 feet high. So I fenced in every tree. It was cheaper than fencing in the home orchard. Just to keep the deer from rubbing on the trees and pulling down the limbs. I had to keep pruning the limbs off until I got to about 5 feet high. And now if they bend over and the deer get them, well, that's okay. The tree's got all this height above it. So the trees will survive the deer now and provide them food. They also eat the natural forbs and stuff that grow. These are poplar trees that are springing up through the grass here, and the deer will eat those. Any broadleaf plant, anything but the grass they'll eat. And the grass they'll eat a little bit in the early spring when it's the only green stuff around. So Sun Fuji and Sun Fuji, we have a little bit of a set. As you can see, I have to fertilize them a little bit more. This tree looks a little stressful unless it's a Honeycrisp, because the leaves look a little yellow. It is a Hilltop Gala. Well, we've had enough rain this spring. Looks a little stressed though. The leaves aren't real green. This is a Turley Winesap. Yeah, I figured I grafted some of these over to some other older trees because I didn't know how long it'd take before I got fruit from a Turley Winesap. So this tree, early in its life, notice that center leader there is cut off. I don't know if you can see it right about there. I had a borer bore into that tree, and it killed it from there up. And I cut it off, and it sent up shoots like crazy. Then the deer got into it and almost killed it again. They pushed the fence over. It had a not such a good fence on it back then. Over here we have more. Let's see, what kind of tree is this? The tag is still on the tree. Nova Easy Grow. So a Nova Easy Grow is supposed to be disease resistant and not the fastest growing tree, I found out, at least not on sand. but it seems to be going now. And I thought I had a little bit of fruit set on it, but I don't see any right now. Well, I see a couple of them. Maybe one or two will survive, we'll find out. Over here, this must be the Richelieu then. First year that it's budded. And we see some fruit set on there, so I'll get some apples if the deer don't get them all. At least the ones on the inside of the tree. So I'll get to taste that. Let's make sure, just in case. These tags, I'll put a link in the video. Richelieu, they're aluminum. They have a soft cardboard center. They're very cheap. They're like 50 of them for $7 or $8, but they last a long time. These trees, those tags are 10 years old, so it's the cheapest way to get a permanent tag if you have a lot of trees that you don't want to spend a lot of money just on tags. This is a Wolf River. It's sort of runted out. It hasn't grown much in the last few years, probably because of the shade problems over here. So it started to bend over to one side. Well, what can you expect on a sandhill? This is an Ida red or a Paula red. It had a tree dropped on it, a poplar tree dropped on it, crushed the fence and busted the tree and everything, and then it regrew the next year from the root up, not from above the graft. So I kept it, and then it was girded by rabbits. So it didn't survive. It's had a hard life. You know, much like some people. I mean, they have hard lives, not because of their own choices sometimes. But here is a little tree. This particular spot that I planted it in is about the third tree that's tried to grow here. I don't know what it is about this spot, but it seems to be death on trees. This is a gold rush. What do I know about a gold rush? It's supposed to be long hanging. I think the apples will hang well into November. Here's another tree that died due to girding, and I planted a new, I think that's the new Ida red next to it. So there is the orchard, but I think there's 25 trees, give or take one or two as they pass on, and I replant them.